Hey there boys, JimBob5478 here, and welcome back to another video on my amazing little fucking corner of the internet. And today, I actually wanted to do a sort of reaction slash counter argument, I guess you could say, to Rosie199x's video on why bubba is better than most killers in DBD. Okay, so without much further ado, let's just jump straight into this fucking shit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and I play Dead by Daylight, so you don't have to. So, as I've been getting my feet wetter into this game, as you could say, now that, my time for the next 2 weeks is going to be spent producing more content and just chilling, I've been...
For the record, I'm actually really excited to see what content you've actually got in the works and that, Rosie. Like, before we go any further, I just want to say that I am really excited for that.
playing some games off stream, playing some more killers that we haven't played in a while on stream, etc., etc. And so one of the killers I finally got around to playing today was Bubba. And if you know me, I'm somebody that is very dedicated to kind of the shit characters on the roster, trying to keep for Keystone and below. So to kind of dabble in these A tiers again has been quite the experience. We played a game as Oni. It was a massacre. We've been learning artist and getting better at her slowly. Tiles feel way more different as that character.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you've got a killer that not only has a projectile weapon, but can also shut down loops, I'm not entirely surprised by how that feels, mate.
And then there's Bubba, which Bubba's a character that I've had some distance from, just because we haven't played him as of late, because he's too good. I generally try to stay away from characters that are too good. But in my Discord server, there was a debate a while back. If you're in there, you might remember it. Well, J-Man, the cop clown at the time, hopefully he's finally came to his senses and quit, was talking about how Leatherface isn't even good. And, I think one thing that has to be noted is, of course, if you, if you're a cop clown, and you know it's Bubba, and you devote your entire build to destroying Bubba,
Before we go any further with this, I just want to say that when I was in the tournament setting and that, we had no idea who the killer was going to be. Like, we knew, the person who was going to be playing the killer, but we didn't know, the killer that was actually going to be playing, if that makes sense. So, the situation that you're putting across here, I feel, is very, situational, I guess you could say, but same way it could be said for the one I was in as well.
You devote your entire build to destroying him without any bans, or the Bubba can't ban anything like a sprint burst or something like that, with no bans in your comp rule set.
Again, if it's coming down to bans and that, the likelihood of Bubba being banned is completely random. The perks would most likely be completely random as to which ones are banned for each week, that kind of thing.
In fact, maybe sprint burst is banned in his stupid whatever rule set he has to actually go off of in a comp scene, whatever. But the point is, if you know it's this character, you can devote your resources and play incredibly optimal as a Swift to beat him. But that applies to everybody. Every killer is bad under that perspective.
For the record, you don't need a good Swift to defeat a Leatherface. Literally, one person who's insane at fucking looping can run a Bubba for 5 gens and still get out. So... Well, I get what you're saying, because obviously, the 4-man Swift is the fucking power role in the game, believe it or not. A single survivor can still do a lot of fucking damage against a Bubba.
Except for maybe the top 3, who can probably get to. But my main point here is that you're going to find when you play this character, you're just going to smash everything. He is so good.
It's debatable, but let's carry on.
So good. I don't know how you can look at this game and say he's not top 5. Again, from the perspective of cop clowns, he might...
Again, I wouldn't say he's top 5. Top 10, definitely, but I wouldn't put him in top 5, personally.
It'd actually be kind of weak because, you devote your entire build to stopping him, etc., etc. Shit like that would beat anybody. But just like he has some truly underrated aspects that we're gonna go into here, and it's not just the camping, because your first instinct is to go, bruh, he's so good at camping, he's the best camper in Dead by Daylight, which he absolutely is. He gets all the benefits of 8 stacks to save the best for last, even better than that.
When you're saying 8 stacks of save, I'm guessing you're referring to his chainsaw, right? Like the fact that he can camp with the chainsaw and that.
Actually, he gets them for free. And he has better than 8 stacks of save the best for last at base kit, and that's just really, really good. Like, so you're analyzing that, but like that's not the only reason he's good. He has so many more good things about him that put him head and shoulders above the other characters. Even against like Swifts, he can realistically get 2 in a lot of situations. And I think a big reason.
That is very debatable. A really good fucking hardcore Swift against a bubba, the likelihood of him getting a 2k is best case scenario, yeah? Worst case, you're probably getting a 1k, I know. No, not even a 1k, they all escape is obviously like the worst case scenario, yeah? But I wouldn't say that he can get a 2k against a 4-man Swift with all the fucking meta perks, no problem whatsoever. Like, I don't necessarily agree that he is like that capable, you know.
For that is twofold. His chase is very, very unique in that, number one, he generates more fear than other killers because you know you don't have a hell state to sponge. Against every other character on the roster, well, almost every other character on the roster, against most characters on the roster, let's say that, you know you have one hell state to sponge, and then you get a speed boost. That makes every character's chase go in 2 parts. There's the first part, which the survivors are more reluctant to give up, to get a speed boost, to get a transition, to get to the etc. Like, they know they have 2 health states. Against this character, that's not exactly true. Against Billy, that's not necessarily true, but this character has more control that makes him better than like a hillbilly.
Again, the whole control thing, I do agree to an extent. He does have a lot more control over his chainsaw sweep, that is correct. However, I feel like because of that, it makes him more likely to bump into things, which you will cover in this video that we're watching back in a second. But I feel like if you're running a bubba, and let's say you're on, like, I don't know, fucking ironworks, right? And you're in like this little middle bit. You got like the killer shack's already like basically useless, like the pallet's gone. There's a T&L wall, and like you've blocked off like both windows or whatever. And the last resort, yeah, you've got against a bubble like that, if there's no other tiles or pallets, is to literally run around a really tight fucking loop like a rock and hope that he fucking bumps into it. Which is why, well, yes, I do agree he has really strong chase potential. It can easily be countered by a simple rock juke or whatever, you know?
But so think about that. So like, as you play this character, like the fact that your chases don't have 2 parts, super good. That's a super underlooked thing on him. But yeah, the instant chainsaw, instant down, etc. But it gets even better than that, because like you get, like a Ghostface's chase doesn't have the 2 parts on certain points, or other characters like a Myers, for instance, or again a Billy. But like Bubba has so much control. Okay, he has so much control over a tile, and when he actually
No, he doesn't. The survivors literally dictate which tiles you go to, I'd say how they're played, but the killer does influence like which way they go to an extent. But more often than not, yeah, it's the survivors that actually are like, yeah, this is how we're gonna run this loop. I'm gonna run this way, and you little bitch boy fucking killer man, you're gonna fucking chase me around this way. Oh, you're gonna try and cut me off? Well, I'll just fucking back round on myself.
like, yeah, this is the same with Billy, but except Bubba's just so much more consistent at it. You don't have to do any weird angles on it. You just have to completely follow your target 100% of the time. Whereas Billy, some angles you may not be able to actually get it. You got to rev at the correct time, etc., etc.
That's why I feel like Billy is more of a skilled chainsaw play, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, he's not nearly as good as he used to fucking be, like when I first got the game. Excuse me. But like, again, even with his like cooldown mechanic, I feel Billy still has like a slight bit more edge over Leatherface. Like, it's completely up to debate. Like, people are free to disagree with me if they want. But personally, I feel like because of like that little bit more skill required to play Billy, he is like one spot. Well, not even one spot. I'd say like maybe two spots above. So if let's say Leatherface is 10th, yeah, that would make Billy 8 in the top 10.
Whereas on Bubba, yeah, it's not true. And like when you do this, okay, when you get behind them, Rev, and they drop a pallet and you break the damn thing, like think about how much time you save. Like kick a pallet as a killer that has to do a base kick pallet animation.
Yeah, but think of the fucking charge up time, man. Think of the amount of time you're standing there charging up your chainsaw. Like, if by the time you've actually cut through the pallet and that, the survivor's already going to be halfway across the fucking map by then. Like, yeah, you've got the chainsaw, like, it does it a little bit quicker than kicking. I'll give you that, yeah. But even so, yeah, mate, like, it doesn't matter. If they've already pre-dropped the pallet, they're already fucking running across the map, you know?
Like do it. And then once you're playing Bubba, you just are so much more aggro because holy fucking shit, you save so much time by kicking that pallet, and they haven't shaken you yet. You're still right on top of them because
Again, though, if they've already pre-dropped the pallet and they're already running, like, that's not necessarily true, man. Like, a good survivor that knows that they're going against a bubba, they're gonna fucking pre-drop every fucking pallet they come across in order to not only avoid a possible spirit fury, but to put as much distance as between them and that fucking chainsaw you're carrying, man. Like, they do not want to get hit by that chainsaw. Like, as you know, Rosie, they'd much rather take a normal basic attack, right? Because then, obviously, like you've said, they get the speed boost, they run away. And the chainsaw, yeah, it takes away that. So, obviously, they're going to drop the pallets and they're going to be running off. So, half the time, I feel like maybe well, the chainsaw, yeah, if they're out in an open space, yeah, fucking go run, and fucking hit them down or whatever, yeah. But I feel like for tiles, an M1 is more suitable depending on how well they play it.
they don't have any real time to transition between the tiles. And then they get to the next pallet, and then if they throw it down, you do it.
With how the RNG is, that's not necessarily true either. A nasty RNG would fucking connect maybe a killer shack pallet with like two filler pallets, like two different like filler tile pallets, you know? Like that I don't necessarily agree with, but let's carry on.
Again, he counters pre-dropping essentially. Like he's one of the efficiency at which he mows down pallets is super good at dealing with the concept of pre-dropping. He can get through. He can just shred pallets faster than a lot.
Yeah, but at what cost? At what cost does he shred through those pallets, man? Like, there's always going to be a negative effect to it. Not only do you have to wait for that charge to come back, but then, like I've already stated, if the survivor's smart, they're going to have pre-dropped that pallet, then run the fuck away from it. Like, they're already going to be in fucking Narnia, man.
Out of the roster. That's a very good thing at these higher MMRs where you see more pre-droppers that just throw the fucking things down. Boom, moving on. Like that pallet per kick probably wouldn't have been worth on another character because you know that you're predominantly going to play the rest of the match over on this side because the 3 gens are there, etc. And it probably wouldn't have been worth it, but on this character you can kind of get away with it, just in case the game does go back over there. So now we go over this way, and let's talk about the other thing that this character does really well. Because he can insta-down you with such efficiency and such control, like, the difference between this character and Billy is that when Billy fucks up, okay, like, this is what people don't talk about. And again, saying Billy fucks up is not exactly a far-fetched thing because of the fact that the survivors have a good counterplay to him. The devs have acknowledged this.
Yeah, and they have a fucking good counterplay to Bubba as well by making him bump into shit, man. Like, there is a... You say, oh yeah, Billy can fuck up. Bubba can fuck up as well if he's not careful, man. Like, I'll admit, yeah, I'm not a very good Leatherface player, right? So it's probably not my jurisdiction to say much. But, like, from my own experience, I've seen it countless times. I've seen more Leatherfaces fuck up than I have a Billy.
When they in their nerf on Billy, the survivors have a fair amount of counterplay to the power, so they didn't want to change it that much, even though they ended up butchering it. But that's beside.
Yeah, they completely butchered Hillbilly. Like that, I completely agree with you on.
The point. Like look at how like she couldn't make another tile before we were on top of her again. Now we're gonna miss. We're gonna miss and fuck at the execution, but like that was a down.
See, that's
it should have been.
This is the prime example of what I mean, right? You had it perfect, yeah. You was literally sniffing her fucking hair on the back of her head, right? You was literally like, I can smell you, Fang, and you literally, I don't know exactly how you managed to do that, but you must have like moved to the left a bit too quickly, and that's how you caught that. So now that Fang, she's gonna fucking run all the way over to the other fucking side of the map, like we've already stated. So what are you gonna do then? What's Bubba got to do about that when he's stuck in tantrum for like, what is it, 3-4 seconds, something like that? Like what has he got against that? Like what can he do about that?
But like, so when Billy messes up, he actually takes a punish. When the survivors do the Billy juke to Bubba, what does Bubba do? He readjusts and hits them anyway.
If the survivors are doing the Billy juke to Bubba, that means they have not played against a fucking Leatherface. Period. If they're doing the fucking Billy juke to Leatherface, they have not fucking played against him properly. Like, any fucking Bubba can just fucking turn around on the spot with the chainsaw. A Billy is, as you know, Rosie, much more restricted to his mobility. So, trying to say that, oh yeah, they can do the hillbilly joke and go la-di-da-di-da. No, I don't necessarily agree. Like, as I've said, if they're doing that against a fucking Leatherface, I don't think they've played against one properly, you know?
To be at a tile. They have no dead zone counterplay to this character. Okay? And why am I telling you this? Because if you were found at a dead zone against most of the roster, you have counterplay. This is the only...
Yeah, I agree. The only place Bubba is incredibly strong is either when he's camping or if he's in a fucking dead zone. To me, personally, like, those are his two strengths. Dead zones and camping. Like, yeah, there is more to his kit. I'm not going to deny that. But from what I've seen, he's more strong in, like, the open areas and that. And, obviously, camping.
Character in the game, where if he finds you at a dead zone, no matter what game state it is, you're dead. You're going to take it down. There's really nothing you can do. Like, you're saying there's nothing you can do against Billy at a dead zone. That's not necessarily true. Again,
there is so much you can do against a Billy in a dead zone. Like, if you're in a dead zone, yeah, all you've got to do is, like, do a couple of, like, jukes as a survivor, and it will screw with his cameraman. Like, obviously you don't want to get too close to him and end up, like, basically letting him give you the kiss of death. But, like, there is plenty you can do against a Billy in a dead zone. Not much to do against Bubba, I'll admit, apart from, like I've said earlier, going around like a rock or something, trying to actually make him bump into, like, the environment without going down yourself, which is a lot easier said than done, to be fair.
I've admitted that there's counterplay to the chase, and part of that counterplay is knowing how to fuck the Billy's camera up. You cannot do that to Leatherface. He will always take it down at a dead zone against him, unless the Bubba's...
And that's because his fucking chainsaw sweeps. It's not a direct run in a straight line. That's the only reason he's able to maneuver as well as he is.
Extraordinarily bad. And, like, hits like a tree or something. Maybe. But, like... So back to the main point here. So the chase doesn't get two parts. Let's tie this all together. What perk are you not seeing when you play as Leatherface? What perk is it? There's one perk in the game that he absolutely crushes. There's one perk in the game that he has more. He is the biggest check to. There's one perk in this game that if you play Bubba, you will barely see it, and when you do, it's okay because it's not even as bad when you're playing Bubba because the chase is only 2 hits again. It's the basic Hell State economy of Dead by Daylight. What Bubba does, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've if you've watched any of my content, you definitely know what perk I'm talking about. He Shreks dead hard more than any other perk in the game.
Debatable. Yeah, he does completely fucking destroy dead hard when the survivor is healthy, because obviously he's got his chainsaw and that. But if he hooks the survivor, and then they're obviously they're going to be injured when they come off the hook and that, they've got their dead hard sitting there ready to go then. There's nothing stopping them using the dead hard after they've been hooked. If it was me, right? Let's say I'm playing Survivor and I'm running dead hard and I've just been hooked by a bubba, right? If I know that it's a bubba, then I'm gonna stay injured for the rest of the match. Why would I want to be healthy against a chainsaw when he's literally just gonna one hit down me anyway? I'd much rather be injured, have that dead hard there to be able to counter it, and maybe get a little bit of distance between the chainsaw and myself. So, maybe I'll dead hard to a window and vault straight through. But, saying that he's a completely hard counter to dead hard, to an extent, is true. And then, on that same hand, it's not. That's a debatable subject, that.
He Shreks it. He crushes dead hard. And when 85% of survivors are bringing dead hard into the matches, most of your games you're going to be playing survivors using the fucking perk. Okay?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically a fucking extra health state. I mean, any survivor not running it is they're either completely fucking insane or they're an absolute fucking Chad. And it's usually the former.
So they're not going to realistically be able to do anything because you counter their exhaustion perk. They don't get that bullshit. That's why.
Again, one question, Rosie? Why didn't you use the chainsaw here? You were saying about how he's so good at camping and that, yet you didn't I'm guessing this is from a stream or whatever, but you were saying about how his camping game is literally the best. Why didn't you use the chainsaw here? This was a perfect time to use it. You could have not only eaten that bottle time, but then you could have downed her afterwards as well in 2 sweeps, if that. That's just me being nitpicky on the gameplay though. Sorry.
Your matches are easier. Your matches are significantly easier as this character because of all the previously mentioned reasons, but the camping, etc., having that better than 8 stacks save the best for last in your camping game, but also the dead hard counter. Your ability to actually put pressure on the board earlier.
Yeah, put pressure on the board early, and then you basically just lose all that pressure as soon as they've all got their dead hards ready. You gotta think of it this way, yeah? In order for you to... Well, I say you. For the survivors to be able to use a dead hard against a bubba, yes, they have to be hooked once, right? In theory, if we're going with the whole, you're only down in with the chainsaw thing, right? You gotta think of it this way, yeah? In the time it takes to catch one survivor once, there's probably going to already been at least 2 gens gone. So let's say you instantly get into a chase with, let's say it's a David, right? You get into the chase with a David, and you run in for, say, 30 seconds, right? You're running around with him for 30 seconds. You end up getting a down. Boom, he's on the hook. Ding, ding, 2 gens done, right? You get into another chase with, let's say it's a Nia. You down her, ding. David's unhooked by this point, obviously. He's not healing up, right? So you can probably tell that he's got dead hard just based on that fact alone, right? So you're going to be like, okay, so this guy hasn't healed. Why hasn't he healed? Dead hard. So you got to think of it this way, yeah? Well, yeah, he does initially count that a dead hard, afterwards, he's no better than any other killer in that regard.
Ability to create those dead zones faster that he capitalizes on. Like, this character is so well designed, I can't believe Behavior actually designed him. Because, like, he works together. His strengths work together. He wants dead zones. He's also good at creating dead zones. Those areas of his kit work together. And then, of course, he just counters dead hard. And he can shred through BT, which is another thing you can do if you're at 3.
Which you could have showcased in this background footage, but you didn't. But it's whatever.
Like, against this character, the only real counter are the windows. So if you bring Bamboozle, you can just vault the window and then shred the pallet down and create the dead zone at the tile. Like, he's great. Like just his only direct counter are the windows. And again,
To be fair though, while I get what you're saying, isn't it, Rosie? With the RNG, half the time, the fucking pallet that you've just got rid of ain't gonna do jack shit for you, because there's another fucking 10 lined up right behind it, ready to take its fucking place, man.
Conditions can still get him, and you can still kite him long enough. And the other exhaustion perks he doesn't like too much. So, like, if you bring a life, I think life is the perk he likes the least. Life and sprint.
Yeah, definitely life. Life is one of his fucking biggest hates, from my understanding. Because obviously, like I think you've already said it, Windows is his weak point, essentially. But as you can see here, you're running Bamboozle, which means that obviously when you go through it, you block the window, which means they can't go through it, which is fantastic for Leatherface. Like, good choice on that, man. But like, still, fuck, I forgot where I'm going with this. Shit, let's carry on.
Burst, maybe sprint burst, probably.
Oh yeah, life, fucking. Like, yeah, life is one of those exhaustion perks which he genuinely hates, because it requires the window to go through. So you got to think of it this way, yeah? Even with Bamboozle, if the survivors got life, boomf, they're through it and they're fucked off. And you're still climbing through the window when they've already gone into Narnia.
But if you bring a life, it kind of counters the Bamboozle, and if you just kind of effectively pick out a transition, like, you can't kite this character. If you will.
Life can also get you away from a very sticky situation. Let's say you're on Yamaoka like you are here, yeah. You know, you get them filler pallets that are usually between the two rocks. If a bubba catches you there, all you've got to do is fast forward one way and just fuck off. Like, that completely, like, voids like being hit by the chainsaw, as long as you get onto the right side and not on the side he's on, obviously. But like, it can literally get you away from a bubba in so many situations. Like, that's why if I'm going against a bubba and I know it's a bubba, I'll slap on life, because like you said, people who know that they're going against a bubba, they're gonna prepare to go against one. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna look at. They're going to think, right, it's a bubba, so what's he probably going to be running? He's probably going to be running Corrupt, he's probably going to be running Bamboozle, Pop, and maybe another gen slowdown or something to spice up the gameplay, yeah? They're going to be looking for that, and Life is going to be one of those ones that they're going to take in to completely destroy the bubba.
Pallets will be shredded. And you can't really have that. But just the ability to just not see a fucking dead hard, bro. You have no idea how impactful that is. Like, you can play.
Again, I think you need to rephrase that to not having to deal with a dead hard until they're injured. Because you gotta remember, if a survivor's clever and they know they're going against a bubba, they're not gonna fucking heal, man. Like I've already said, they're not going to heal. They're going to stay injured just so they can get use out of that perk.
This character, knowing that perk is going to be low impact factor. That's why your games feel easier. Because this game is more
low impact until they've all been injured and they're all running dead hard at the same time.
Balance when dead hard's not in it. Now again, this doesn't make Bubba like super god tier, awesome, dead hard counter XD. He's a balanced character. No, of course not. 4-Man Swift crushes his character just like they crush everything else. Like, they do.
I have nothing to argue about here. I'm just letting him ramble on a little bit. Like I completely agree. The 4-man Swift just destroys everyone and everything it touches.
But just like, look at that. That we know this person has Dead Hard because I've played this game. Like, look at what we just ignored there. If we were a different character, we only would have gotten one health state there. She would have ran to the other side of the map, and then they probably would have had a healing party. Since Bubba's health state economy is good, he also ignores Circle of Healing. Another good thing in today's meta, where you can just ignore that perk. You don't.
Does he necessarily? Yeah, he does. But if they're running exponential on top of that Circle of Healing and you down them in that area, is it completely avoiding it? Like, really? Like, I know exponential is a completely different fucking perk, which I don't think should have been added into the game either, but, like, still.
Need to care about it. Because you don't care if they heal. I mean, yes, you'll have to hit a chainsaw other than a basic attack, but if you're a good Bubba, you're hitting chainsaws all the time anyway. Like, you don't really care if they're healing.
Not all good Bubbas are going to be using chainsaws all the time. Sometimes it's easier just to get a basic attack than it is to go for the chainsaw.
Because you're chainsawing them anyway, more often than not. So you don't give a shit. It's great. It's great. Like, modern DBD, the modern DBD, he just has such, like, a way to, like, go after. He has a way to tackle it, go after, play it, camp. He's good at camping, good in the chase, good at everything you need to be good at to be considered a...
Well, the only reason he's good at camping is because of that fucking chainsaw. But same could be said for Billy in that regard. The only thing that sets him apart when it comes to camping is the fact that not only does he sweep, but he can also carry on with that now. Because obviously, what was it, a year, maybe 2 years ago, he got that buff. And he's been given tokens for his chainsaw, where it was once just a one-time use, and then boom, it's like a really disappointing gangbang or whatever. But like his potential for face camping and basement camping is so strong because of how much maneuverability he's got with his saw.
Good character in this game. Like if you have him anywhere below A tier, you're just simply objectively wrong. Like you like.
See, I would put Bubba in B tier personally, just because with certain add-ons, and if you play characters in a certain way, even characters like Wraith can be arguably better than Bubba. I'm not saying that Wraith is better than Bubba. Hell fucking no. Like, he is not better than Bubba. Poor fella's been fucking nerfed into the ground. But you could argue that under certain, like, parameters being made and that, killers like Wraith could be potentially better than Bubba.
Like, why is he bad? Because Swift beats him? Is that the argument for him being bad is?
It's one of them, yeah.
Like, what is the argument for him being bad? Map pressure?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, sure. Swift. There's not enough character. Yeah, sure. He won't be able to, like, hit the map effectively enough to, like, beat a Swift. Yeah, sure. But, like, who else has that problem? What other characters on the pro? Like, why is he bad specifically? Saying, like, he can't do that is, like, kind of...
What makes him bad specifically? There's nothing specifically that actually makes him, like, terrible. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and say that he is terrible, because I'm not, right? But I feel like he isn't up in, like, the A tier. B tier, yeah, definitely. Like, put him top of B tier. Bottom of A if you want to be generous. But I wouldn't say he's A tier, personally. But that comes down to personal preference, and if you take into consideration all the different add-on combinations that you can have with other killers, and all the wacky, crazy things you can do with them, compared to Bubba, who just has a fucking chainsaw.
A cop-out, because, like, every other character in the game can't do that either. So,
well, yeah, I mean, if you're playing as Trapper going against a 4-man Swift, you've already fucking lost, mate. There's no doubt in that. The only thing that Bubba really can capitalise on much the same with every other killer when it comes to a Swift, is the altruism. Because he is so strong at, like, destroying altruistic teams. Let's say you put someone in the basement as Bubba, right? And the teammate goes down there, yeah, they get the unhook. Let's say you're literally 5 seconds away from, like, the basement, yeah. You can literally go back and fucking chainsaw those motherfuckers. Like, fair enough, yeah. But then the others are just gonna get out. So what? What does that? How does that make Bubba any better than any other killer? How does that put him in top 5? Besides the fact he can down 2 people in one go.
It's like no one's saying he's top 3. Nobody's saying he's top 3, and I don't necessarily know if he's top 5. I don't
So where would you place him then, Rosie? Like, enlighten me, please.
know if I go that far, because our artist is very good at playing the tiles. And of course, the jungle gyms can still be rough, and he still has the vault to get the bamboozle, and then you can still, like, kite him long.
With the bamboozle in mind, maybe Hex crowd control would be a good idea on him as well. Like, I've just had the thought about it. Maybe Hex crowd control would be, like, a better perk for Bubba compared to bamboozle. At least for, like, the start of the game and that. Yeah, you can have bamboozle as a backup, innit? Like, I'm not saying you can't use that, but I feel like for the risk and reward, crowd control is probably a better choice over bamboozle. That's just me, though.
So like, you definitely still can do that. So top 5, I mean, maybe he's at that number 5 spot. Like, who is the contention to take him away from that number 5 spot right now? Oni, Hag. I don't think Hag.
Oni, yes. Hag, debatably, yes. I would honestly put Hag maybe in the top 5 as well. I wouldn't put her number 1, like, Nurse takes that every fucking time. Blight and Spirit are also up there as well. But I wouldn't say Bubba is top 5.
Countered by Flashlight. So is Artist, though. Like, for
Hag, yeah, I would. Now I'm thinking about it, I'd put her, like, 4th, innit? I'd put Hag 4th.
Like, he's in that tier. He's certainly in that tier. Like, who Oni, maybe. Hag, maybe. Other than that, not too sure who you're really realistically thinking. Twins?
Blight. Trickster to a degree as well, if you can actually land knives, but I don't like shit stuff.
Not with Circle of Healing in the game. With the ability...
Yeah, what does Circle of Healing do to Bubba? How does Bubba actually negate Circle of Healing?
For those heals to speed up, I don't think Twins. As long as Circle of Healing's in the game at the capacity it is, as long as it's a meta perk, because that perk's still meta. Just because the self-healing space aren't jacked anymore, doesn't mean the perk isn't jacked, especially on Twins. And whose meta is direct 2-2 counterplay, like, that perk still absolutely fucks them. So...
I'm not gonna comment on the Twins thing, because I don't have enough knowledge on them myself to actually make a comment.
I think they're out. I don't know. Huntress? No, get the fuck out of here. Pyramid Head? Depends on whose chase you view as better, which I think Bubba's more efficient. And Pyramids they still have direct control over, which I don't think that's applicable of Bubba. Pyramid does have free tunnels, so... But...
Yeah, I don't like the fact that Pyramid can basically tunnel out of the cages. I feel like, while, yeah, it makes sense, I feel like the survivors should still have their DS actually, like, pop up if it hasn't already. You know? Like, if it's already activated from the first hook, then yeah, like, don't activate it again. But if they've got away in that, and then Pyramid Head gets them again, and then he sends them to the cage, I feel like then the D-Strike should actually reactivate from the cage.
Pyramid Head is another character that's really equipped to play modern DBD with the camping and the tunneling. But I digress. I've made my point. So it's like, why do your Bubba matches feel easier? I hope I answered that. From a very oppressive chase to a top-tier efficiency at pallet shredding.
To low MMR.
Like, if you have to get rid of the pallets on the map, because I know the top 3 characters don't really have to get rid of the pallets, but if you have to get rid of the pallets, there's no faster way of doing it than this character.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking pallet eater, I'll give him that, but at what cost? Especially, let's say you're running the shack, right? If the survivor drops the pallet, like they've already looped it like a couple of times and they're heading straight to the pallet, they're gonna pre-drop that by the time you've even walked in through the fucking doorway on the other side. So they're gonna fucking drop that and they're gonna be gone. By the time you've got to that pallet and chainsawed it, they're probably already halfway across the map, like I've said earlier.
And the health state, the economy of health states doesn't really matter to this character. So that's my.
It doesn't matter to a degree. Like, yeah, when they've got the dead hard, yeah, it goes back to a 2 health state thing. But that's a tricky one, man. It depends whether you're going full on with the chainsaw or if you're going for the basic attacks and that.
Best way of saying that he counters Circle of Healing and Dead Hard in one actual go around. But like the borrow time counter, so like how many meta perks is this kid countering now? 3 of 4? And he doesn't have any direct counterplay to DS, but when you're fucking as lethal and good at shredding shit, you shouldn't really be getting hit by DSs. Your efficiency should be carrying you to beat most teams.
But again, if we're talking efficiency, yeah, the most efficient play is the fucking tunnel and camp. Like, if they've already unhooked the person that you was camping and you've downed them again, they're gonna have fucking D-strike sitting there unless you wait it out. Like, the only way to avoid it then is to wait out the D-strike after they've dead-harded. Because let's not forget they're gonna dead-hard.
Yeah, at the highest MMR, none of this will work. But the point is, like, this character's B tier, this character's bad. I don't know. I don't think so. There's way too many positive attributes here, and there's way too good of an ability to play.
Just because he's B tier doesn't mean he's bad, bro. Like, yeah, some people would say, oh, he's not B tier, he's like C or D or whatever the fuck, yeah. But just because he's in B tier does not mean that I necessarily agree that he is bad. Because you've made some really good points in this video, mate. Like, straight up, yeah? Like, I can see where you're coming from with some of these points. But it's all these what-ifs and thens and maybes, which I have terribly thrown together in this fucking 42-minute video. And it's these questions that make me wonder, like, is he actually, like, as strong as you think he is as well? You know? Like, I don't agree that he's weak as fuck, but I don't necessarily agree that he's as strong as you may think him to be.
Modern Dead by Daylight. And look at the perks. You see the fucking dead hards. I don't know, bro. I just think that the
wait, let me go back. Let me see these perks quick. Spine Chill, Borrow Time, Iron Will, Dead Hard, Shadow Step, Circle of Healing, BT, D-Gas, Iron Will, Dead Hard, Small PP, Borrow Time, Dead Hard. Yeah, okay.
Ability to play modern Dead by Daylight. And look at the perks. You see the fucking dead hards.
So many of them, man.
I don't know, bro. I just think that the way this... Like, maybe he'll fall when Dead Hard actually gets nerfed and most characters can actually deal with a chase in a more effective manner, but
I don't think when Dead Hard gets nerfed, he'll be in any of a better or worse spot. Purely because of, 1, the tile RNG. 2, the fact that survivors can loop those fucking tiles so well together at the minute, basically making it near impossible to catch them. And C, I don't have one for C.
Now, you take this character, you should probably win the game unless it's like a huge 4-man swift. I don't know. That's just me. I'm getting it.
Unless it's a huge 4-man swift, or if you injure them with your chainsaw, hook them, and then they've got fucking dead hard.
Out of here, lads. G fucking G's.
GG's,
what you guys
Rosie.
think about old Bubba? Let me know in the comments below.
I'll do one better for you, mate. I'll fucking make this video. Not that you'll probably watch it, but like still. But yeah, this was just a really fucking long video, but I didn't intend it to be. It's ended up at nearly, well, it is going to be clocking in at 55 minutes. But yeah, to round up, while I agree with some of the points you've made, I don't necessarily agree that Bubba is a hard counter to Dead Hard, purely because once you hook them, they're injured and they have the ability to fucking use it. Yeah, he does have like that initial bit, but yeah. Then there's the whole pre-dropping pallets against him, right? As I've already stated, if the survivor pre-drops the pallet and they see you coming on the other side of the tile, right? They're gonna wait for you to decide which way you're gonna go. If it's like a two-way open wall or whatever, or they're just gonna keep running because, like the example I gave at the Killer Shack earlier, if they've got like a god pallet or whatever, they're just gonna drop that and keep running, man. And there's nothing you can do about it apart from chainsaw it and hope to catch up within like 10 years. But yeah, this has been me. I'm fucking getting out of here. It's fucking 6:45 in the morning and I've got work tonight. So until then, boys, I'll catch you in a bit. This has been me, Jimbo5478, and I'm fucking out of here in a bit.